but you're wired somehow. You have a certain way of existing that is absolutely natural and skillful for you. You're talented in that way. It's how your heart expresses itself. It's how you get inside of love, and how love expresses itself uniquely through you.
If you have a mind, you have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
Welcome to the event. We're really happy that you're here. We're about to go live in just a few moments. But before we lift off, there's a few important things we want to make sure that you're aware of so you get the best possible experience out of this. First of all, the sound current is supremely important to us, the musical experience. So if possible, we really encourage you to use good speakers or headphones to experience the class with. Second, if you have any pre-existing injuries, please take care of yourself. Modify as you need to. Don't risk exacerbating an injury because of a yoga exercise. If you have any pre-existing medical conditions and you're not quite sure if this would be good for you, please consult with your primary healthcare practitioner and make sure it's the right thing for you. Also, make yourself relatively comfortable. You can use a cushion, and in fact, we encourage you in our seated positions, meditation practices, to use a cushion. It helps lift the heart up, keep the spine straight, and it's more ideal for the flow of energy in the body and for the meditation experience. You can even be sitting in a chair with feet flat on the floor for those of you that are unable to sit in a meditative sitting posture on the floor. Just use a chair, and for many of the exercises, that will work perfectly fine. And then lastly, if you're having any problems with the video streaming, try refreshing the page, or if you see a gear icon on the video, adjust your resolution. If you're new to this type of thing, just take care of yourself. If there's something that you don't quite understand, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Everything that needs to click will click after a few times of trying it out. Enjoy the experience. We're about to get started in just a moment. Om Welcome everybody. Welcome back for all who are joining us this morning. And welcome to all of us just joining us for the first time today. I can't tell, how many of you that are here now were also here this morning. I presume a good bit. But I also imagine there's a lot of us here that were not here for the session this morning. And that's wonderful too. I want to welcome you all and thank you again for being here. To me, it's a real great blessing to be doing this and to be spending time in this way today. Any day, but particularly today. It's, if we find ourselves in the type of life and in a position where we're able to do this type of stuff, that in and of itself, I think is quite clear is a great blessing, and it's a privilege. And so, as we're learning as a society right now, whenever there is some privilege, it's very important to make good use of it. And the way we make good use of it is to help others, but to help others in this context via making sure that we're utilizing our life for a dharma at some way. And what that means is really the exploration of yoga. It's not like, oh, okay, that's what that means. But that is the discovery, the constant discovery process is how as a human being do I become useful? And there's a lot of different ways and contexts in which we can explore that. But that's really kind of what this is all about. That's what the four boundless attitudes are about. So for those of you who were not here this morning, we had a beautiful session. I really encourage you to jump back into that. Not right now, but sometime later. If you're here now and it's live, definitely stay. Thanks to everybody in the Zoom room it really does help feel like this real beautiful sense of community. Being able to, I got everybody over here. I can see you. You all look amazing, cozy houses, and really happy you're all here. And so anyhow, If for those of you who are watching this later on the replay and the recordings, I would go back and start with the first one and then come to here, is my suggestion. But this is a beautiful place to be right now, and the eclipse moments are approaching. And it's really an ideal day to be doing this together, to practicing together, to meditating, to kind of recalibrating our dispositions of our life. What is our lives all about? What is this? We're here very temporary time. It's a flash. The passage of time is an interesting thing. When we're young, we feel like, oh my gosh, if you're like 10, to be 20 might as well be an infinite amount of years away. But it's just 10. But when you're 40, 50 seems like tomorrow. And that's a blessing, because that's more realistic, and we can feel more realistically the urgency of our life. And when we can feel the urgency of our life, it allows us to be more present. And when we become more present, we start to potentially experience the value of our lives. And when we start to experience the value and the preciousness of a human life, we'll naturally turn towards a dharma, the energy of reality, the energy of truth. Sometimes that word dharma is used in terms of a purpose. It means that as well. Sometimes the word dharma is used in the context of a vehicle, like the Buddha's dharma or the Sikh dharma, so on and so forth. Those are vehicles. But there's only one dharma. There's only one reality. That's what that Ik Onkar is that we did this morning. So on Wednesday, we're starting our Life Force Academy 40-day meditation journey. And in this morning's class, we did that meditation. We're not going to do it this afternoon, but I invite everyone to be a part of that And on Wednesday morning, we'll be doing a live broadcast just like this, but a little bit shorter. And that'll be day 1 of the 40-day challenge. And really to start the 40-day challenge, all you need to do is just do that broadcast on that day. You'll have completed day 1 and you'll know how the whole thing works. So that's a real easy way to do it. But also inside the Life Force Academy, if you go to the 40-day challenge page, it'll just guide you through it all. It's super easy, but very wonderful and deep work. So anyhow, when we're discussing the 4 boundless attitudes, sometimes these are referred to as the 4 immeasurables. And that's our meditation for this entire day, this morning and this afternoon. It's not that these are, even to just start to invoke them, it's not just like thinking about them, but when we start to explore them and study them within a meditative space, then the energy of the teaching can come alive inside of us, and we can learn much more deeply than when we're just studying in a more of an intellectual only fashion. So the 4 boundless attitudes is boundless love, the wish for all others to have that happiness and the cause of happiness. Boundless compassion, the wish for all others to have, to wish for, let me say this different, the wish for boundless love, the wish for ourselves and all others to have happiness and the cause of happiness. Boundless compassion, the wish for ourselves and all others to have freedom from suffering and the cause of suffering. Boundless joy, that for us, for ourselves, as well as all sentient beings, all feeling beings. The wish that for those that do have some happiness, that may it expand and grow. That we experience joy from another's happiness. If we can cultivate that, it becomes something that is a sustained joy. When we only feel joy when our own sort of life is going quote unquote well, that is not a boundless joy. And so the 4th is, and most important, boundless impartiality, meaning that that love, that wish of compassion, and that wish of joy is not reserved for any one particular type of person or being, and that it's boundless. It has no boundaries. It has no biases. It has no prejudices. It's just the same as we would feel love for like our child. At the highest states of awareness and realization, that same love we would feel towards a being, any being, no matter who they are, that same sort of compassion. Let me read to you something from the master Jigme Lingpa. Love means wishing for the happiness of others, like a loving like a loving mother cherishing her child. Love means wishing that for the happiness of others, like a loving mother cherishing her child. Compassion is a powerful state of mind. Sometimes we don't think of that in that way, compassion. Compassion is a powerful state of mind. An inability to tolerate the fact that others suffer. Being in the 6 realms are entrapped by sorrow and its cause. So being in the realms of suffering, entrapped by the sorrow and its cause. Beings in the realms of suffering are trapped by sorrows and its cause. And seeing this brings tears to one's eyes. Joy is to delight in others' pleasure and success. It is to cultivate the wish that all have happiness. It is a joy one feels when they achieve it for themselves. And it is the wish that they should never be deprived of it. Impartiality is freedom from attachment and hostility. When sides and factions are all seen as equal. When enemy and friend and neither, so enemy, friend, and neutral, are all treated with an even-handed kindness. We should practice these 4 attitudes, remembering that all is without the true existence. That last line is making references to the emptiness, and that meaning that all is without true existence. For instance, as we were discussing earlier, the person who's right now my friend later could easily become my enemy. And somebody who's currently my enemy could very easily one day become my friend. So that's empty of existence. There's no real such thing as a friend or an enemy. They're all just relatives. So they don't have any absolute reality. So that's an example at a relative level of what that means. That all is without true existence. And when we start to not only understand that nature of the empty nature of reality more experientially, slowly but surely, then it gives us the capacity to practice these boundless attitudes more realistically, to actually experience them as truth, not just ideas. And that's why the practices are so incredibly helpful, because even by the end of this class this evening, is just, even if for a moment we can bring ourselves into a space of shunya, 0, like an empty point, a still point, where everything seems to recalibrate, the body, the mind, the magnetism, and all of a sudden you feel, this is what I'm all about. This is what my life is all about. And so this kind of understanding the empty nature, and there's no friend, there's no real enemy, that doesn't mean that we become indifferent to things, but rather it gives us a sense of the dharma of our lives, and that we came into this vehicle, into this body, with some purpose. There was some karma that brought us into this, and there's a dharma that will carry us along closer and closer to experiencing a complete realization. And so some of us are going to be marching in the streets. Some of us are going to be teaching our children. Some of us are going to be working in law. Some of us are going to be teaching in the training of the mind and the heart. Some of us will be helping beings recover from trauma and addiction. Some of us will be serving in ways that on the surface may not seem important to some people, but in actuality, it has as great of as importance as any other thing, because it's not what we're doing, it's what is the energy we're doing it with. And so there does come a time, I believe, that when the bigger energy of life and the bigger force of transformation, when it really emerges and starts to rock the boat of society, it becomes a time where all of us do come together, and we have our energy focused on a specific moment, a specific expression of life, and how life is asking to emerge, and how consciousness and love are endeavoring to emerge. And so therefore, when we practice in such a fashion to where we're able to both simultaneously stand in truth and with a boundless compassion, then we can actually, not only do we feel better, and not only will our work that we're doing, I believe, be far more effective, Because love is a language that no one has a defense against. There's no defense for it. If it's genuine love, there's no defense. And so, not only will all that be true, that we'll feel better, that we'll be more effective, but furthermore, we will understand better. We will be able to understand the pain of our adversary. And we will know that they're actually not our adversary, but the play, the drama of life is expressing itself in this form. So we can simultaneously be present with the Dharma of this incarnation, and we can also have connectivity to an absolute reality that gives us the fuel to keep going, that gives us a greater, deeper, more profound understanding of life. Otherwise, life becomes completely confusing and very, very difficult. It's very difficult no matter what. But it's either will our difficulty make us love even more deeply, or it will bring us greater into despair and bitterness more deeply. There's really only two roads. And sometimes though we got one leg on one road and one leg on the other road, and those boats are going apart, and you're like, what are you gonna do? And so I went home after the morning class and to eat some food and connect with my family, and Simrit, my wife, and I were sitting and eating, and our son, who's 15 years old, his name's Siddhi Amrit, he came in, and we were all just chatting because we were hearing about, the amount of polarization in the world right now is at an all-time high. And people are really upset about some stuff that, like whether like the other person thinks I should wear a face mask or doesn't think I should wear a face mask, or all these types of things that is like, So anyhow, there's a situation locally that a friend of ours was in where somebody was really coming at her in a very aggravated and angry and disrespectful way. And we're just talking to our son and also learning for ourselves and saying, anytime anyone is intentionally wishing, and often unintentionally wishing to harm someone else, whether it's with their words or their behaviors, they themselves are also hurting deeply. Anytime anyone is coming at you, tell him, and anyone who's wishing to harm you, he'll have those experiences, of course. He's in a much more relaxed environment than where I grew up in, but I was constantly on guard when I was his age. Somebody's growing up in South Carolina, and being how I am, there was not like this and all that, but just the kind of weird character that I am. There's always somebody that wanted to beat my ass by the time I got to high school, and for no rational reasons, I thought. But it's you got to protect yourself and that kind of thing, and then that takes its toll on you a little bit, cause you to shell. But if I had that understanding, it would have helped me at that point in time. And I didn't have that understanding at that point in time in the way, of course, that I do now. And even what I have now is very limited understanding compared to the amazing grace of reality. So, if someone else is wishing to hurt you, or your people, they themselves are suffering tremendously. That doesn't mean you don't defend yourself and you stand up. But love is intelligence. And when we are cultivating and actually holding real great love, then we will know how to defend ourselves. Our intuitive mind will tell us how to defend ourselves. Love is a great skill. It gives you it's not a skill itself, but it gives you great skillfulness to be able, when our minds and our bodies can more consistently hold love And do you know that's the great insight of Ayurveda and the Oriental medicine system, is that it's love that gives the organism immune intelligence as well. That's why they find, we know for a fact, scientifically, fear takes your immune system down. Fear is the polarity of love. And so love, that's how Ayurveda describes it. They call it ojas, and it's like the materialization of love within the human organism. So now your immune system is in synchrony with, in harmony with your organism, and your organism is in harmony with the greater environment. That's how we start to get into what the yogis called perfect health, or swastha. You're in a sympathetic, harmonic flow with life itself. So the bar to be completely healthy is really high. It's not asymptomatic. It's not healthy in that Ayurvedic Oriental way of understanding health. It's very profound. And we can learn a lot from it, and we do. But it is love. Ojas, that which gives your immune system strength, that which causes your organs to operate efficiently, that which gives strength to your electromagnetic field, that which helps the mind be steady in contentment. Ojas gives santok. When it becomes very refined, santok is a sustained contentment. So even if very difficult things are happening, your contentment doesn't go away. That's a powerful energy. That's what Jingpe Lingpa was. Compassion is a powerful energy. Compassion can be fierce, compassion can be soft, compassion can penetrate. Love, compassion can express themselves in an infinite variety of forms. Our misunderstanding of love and compassion will narrow it into some other box and give it some sort of only relative truth, not what it actually is. What it actually is beyond the comprehension of our normal thinking minds. It can only be experienced. And so this event this evening is an experiential journey. And this is right to explore these boundless immeasurables, these boundless attitudes, or immeasurable qualities in this fashion gives us a landscape for when we're going into the practice in just a moment to then work. And then when we're developing and generating stronger magnetism, when we have the proper dispositions, the attitudes that are boundless or immeasurable in nature, we'll naturally travel well along the path. Otherwise, when we do really, really powerful things like yoga practice, meditation practice, any type of spiritual practice, we can run the risk of generating great energy, a certain level of great realization, but also become spiritually narcissistic, spiritual ego. Very common, not uncommon, very, very common in myself, in everyone. It's not something like some of us will have to pay attention to that and others won't. That's part of life. It's the central quote-unquote enemy on the spiritual path is, as we go along, becomes that kind of superiority complex. To the extent that even the great Shantideva, in the famous text, The Way of the Bodhisattva, begins by essentially, I'm finding the passage. Essentially, here's the verse 2, Way of the Bodhisattva, Shantideva, the great Indian master, and that's became really a legendary text. His Holiness the Dalai Lama's, real love for the benefit of beings is His Holiness the Dalai Lama May he live a great long life. It's so wonderful to have him on our planet right now. Last night I went home and he's doing a webcast from his residence in Dharamsala, and just seeing him puts a huge smile on my face and a warmth in my heart. And I don't even know what he talked about, but I just listen and he laughs and like, you know, my kundalini rises and just the sound of his laughter. And Shantideva is saying, here I shall say nothing that has not been said before. And in the art of prosody, I have no skill. This is this illuminated bodhisattva. I there have no thought that this might be of benefit to others. I wrote it only to habituate my mind. And as the Dalai Lama points out, he says, here I shall say nothing that has not been said before, and in the art of prosody I have no skill. Dalai Lama points out is said simply to ward off pride. So it's very known. It's right after he gives his kind of salutations to open up. It's the first thing. It's the first position. And so that's why over this 40-day journey, 40-day meditation practice that we're beginning on Wednesday, the 4 boundless attitudes are our meditative focal point. Not while we're doing the meditation necessarily, although yes, some of that too. But in terms of what could I develop, what could I work to stabilize in my organism, in my mind and my heart over a period of 40 days, because that's how long it would take just to begin to stabilize it. That's why they say 40 days to change a habit. And so, as we begin the practice, we are going to shift our attention to the breath, to using the breath, to using the body, in order to start to work with the life force in the body. But even just having the intent and the aspiration to cultivate non-biased love, non-biased compassion, non-biased joy, and that impartiality that extends to all beings, even though we know we're just beginners, and that we're only going to be so helpful. But that aspiration has the great energy of reality, love within it. And so therefore, we do start to make great progress, and we do start to feel happier and happier, and we do start to maintain greater connectivity to the deeper and genuine sense of purpose for each of our lives. And from there, really, all good things occur, because we'll have the fortitude, the spiritual fortitude, to be able to embrace whatever life brings us, because we'll start to experience whatever life brings to us as our teacher, as wisdom itself, as the benevolent force of evolution itself. And so when that shift of disposition takes place, life is a completely different experience. And even in times of great pain, we don't lose our sense of joy. In fact, it strengthens our sense of joy, because whenever we're having suffering, our karma is being worked out. And when every little bit of karma that is worked out, now even more energy can flow through me. And so then even more joy will start to flow through me. And this will not make sense to the intellectual. That's why it has to come from here. And then this becomes like a wisdom sword. So let us begin the practice. We're going to do a handful of exercises to warm the body back up. We're going to go into some really beautiful meditations, and then we'll enjoy the effect. So please come onto your hands and knees, and let's begin. Inhaling, the head is coming up. And exhaling, the head is coming down. Nice, smooth rhythm. Eyes are closed. Breath is deep. Good, and when you feel comfortable doing so, you might breathe even a little deeper. Listening to the sound of your breath. Another 60 seconds, keep going. Making the spine supple. It's like your spinal fluid. It's like your battery fluid. You're only here for a little bit. May the body carry us with a long, healthy life. With a good mind and a good heart. And may all others experience the same joy as ourselves. And if others have even more joy, may that happiness swell and increase. And inhale, head is up. And exhale, head is down. Beautiful. Come sitting up on the heels. Hands are on your lap. Chest is lifted, chin is in. And spinal flex. You'll be like nam, sut, nam. Inhale through the chest. Exhale back. Nam, sut, nam, sut, nam, sut, nam, sut, nam. And keep going. And Charlotte, could you face the other direction so they can also see it from that side? Lifting through your chest. Nam, sut, nam, sut, nam, sut. Beautiful. Now eyes are closed down. Continue. Have the gaze relaxed into the third eye point. And another 45 seconds. Keep going. Inhale deeply. Suspend the breath. And exhale. Make your way back to easy pose. The most important part of these exercises are that ending point where you're establishing a sense of stillness, shunya. Your inhale forward, exhale back. In, out, forward, back, left, right, up, down, good, bad, female, male, etc., etc. Then all of a sudden we go inhale deep, suspend the breath, and then the root lock, rectum, sex organ, pelvic floor lifts up and in. And then you draw your navel up and in. Heart is wide open. And where the root of the nose meets the skull bone between the two eyebrows, there lies the gateway of the third eye. So, you suspend your breath. You keep the breath in, lift through the chest, relax the shoulders down. So the breath held in, but the torso relaxed. The pelvic floor lifts, the navel draws in, draws the energy upward. Where your attention goes, your prana flows, concentrating into the third eye. Then exhale. Neutralization of the psyche and of the left and right pranic channels. Ida, Pingala, Surya, lunar, Chandra, female, male. And then intuitive heart will start to guide you. Hands come like this. Chest is lifted, fingers in front, thumbs in the back. Engage, lift up through the core. Inhale left, exhale right. Na, sit, na, sit, na. Y'all look great. Keep going. Try to breathe through the nose. And inhale to the center. And suspend. Suspend the breath. Suspend the mind, lift the locks, third eye gaze. And exhale. Amazing. Hands on your knees. Can be slower too, like a whatever feels right for you and your body. Every exhale, let the tension release. Let the mind relax. In order for us to go through this period of time in a healthy way, we have to take care of ourselves. Make sure we take care of our minds and our bodies and our hearts. Compassion. Inhale, squeeze up the shoulders. Squeeze out the tension. Exhale. Amazing. Check this out. Kensei Rinpoche. Let the flower of compassion bloom in the soil of kindness. Tend it with the pure water of equanimity in the cool shade of joy. The entire teachings of the 4 boundless attitudes in those 4 lines. Let the flower of compassion bloom in the soil of kindness. Tend it with the pure water of equanimity, impartiality, in the cool shade of joy. One with compassion is kind even when angry. One without compassion will kill even as he smiles. For one with compassion, even their enemies turn into friends. Without compassion, even their friends will turn into enemies. Simple. All right, friends. In Jnana Mudra, what we're going to be doing is a breath of fire. Ladies, if you're on your moon period or pregnant, just do long, deep breathing instead. The index, that's Jupiter, seals to the thumb, wisdom seal. And you're going to inhale deeply and begin a through the nose, equal exhale, inhale. Inhale. Suspend. And exhale. Your gaze will be third eye another round. It can be slower, it can be a little quicker, but it should be done in a way where my mind can be relaxed and the breath can be rhythmic. Inhale. Equal exhale, inhale. Now inhale deeply. Suspend, lift through the pelvic floor, draw your navel in, and then meditate into the third eye space. And exhale. Come onto your backs. bring your feet together. And you're going to take a deep inhalation. And then fully exhale. Then you'll come into stretch pose. Legs are up 6 inches, head is up 6 inches, sternum is lifted, and it'll be a breath of fire, powerfully moving your navel. But if it strains your low back, bring your hands under your butt and fists and help like that. So good, and try it out. And inhale. And pull your navel in and relax. That was just to try it out. Now you kind of know what we're getting ourselves into. All the energy of the prana is generated just under the belly button at your navel. As when we were in our mother's womb, our energy was fed via her energy in the umbilical cord. But once the umbilical cord is no longer there, the energy is generated from the navel point. And that's this prana root, where we can generate good life force, good magnetism to help us carry us through our lives and to be able to practice the virtues that we so deeply resonate with. So first take a deep inhalation and then fully exhale. And then fully inhale again. And exhale. Come into the posture. And then breath of fire. Powerful breath. Powerful breath. Hold the posture, inhale deeply. Draw the root lock in, now draw the navel in deep, deep, and relax. Beautiful. Really relax well for a few moments. Beautiful, and hug the knees into the chest. And inhale and bring the nose up towards the knees. And squeeze tight, but release your shoulder blades down your back. Eyes are closed. Inhale deep. And again, breath of fire. Utilize your navel in a rhythmic fashion. See if you can relax the mind within the relative intensity of your engagement. And inhale, squeeze up tight. Squeeze deep and relax down again. Beautiful. And then hug the knees into the chest and begin to rock and roll. Inhale as you're rocking forward, and exhale as you're rocking back. Satnam. All right. Good job, everybody. Excellent spine rolling. All right, so here's the next one. And by the way, I always want, especially on these events where we have lots of new friends here, those of you who have not been here, done this work with us before, all the music you're hearing is from Simrit. And her name is spelled Simrit. And you can get most all of this wherever you get your music. But also there's so much of more that is in the Life Force Academy. Okay, bring your arms up to 60 degrees. Your thumbs will be out and your fingers are tucked in like so. Then the arms come up to 60 degrees. Heart is lifted, shoulders release. Extend out through your knuckles. And inhale very deep. And exhale, release the shoulder blades down your back. And draw the gaze into the third eye. Heart wide open. And inhale. And once again, breath of fire.
All of myself, all of myself, all of my heart is with you. How can I go somewhere as soon as you leave? When all of my thoughts are with you.
Heart is wide open. Meditating into the third eye. And generating the inner strength. That strengthens as an electromagnetic field.
In this life, I had many chances,
Think of those whom you love
and all
very deeply. Who would you do anything for? Your child, or your family, your parents, or your best friend. Think of how much we wish for them to be free of any suffering. Breath of fire. And then when you feel that great feeling of compassion well up in your heart, intentionally now extend it to all beings. Extend it to the troublemakers in your life, or an adversary. For 30 seconds. Stay with it. Breath of fire.
in this life. I had many chances,
Inhale.
and all
Thumb tips touching, fingers spread wide, root lock lifted, third eye gaze, release the shoulders, touch the ceiling with your fingertips, and gaze into the mystical third eye.
when all of my thoughts are with
And exhale. Relax. Just meditate. hands up, shake them out, shake off any of the residue tension, distribute the energy around any kind of like uptightness in your mind or your body. Just consciously shake it off. Shake, shake, shake. Use your body to transport the mind. Keep shaking. Keep shaking. Just a few more moments, keep shaking. With a little more cheerfulness. Relax. Beautiful. Y'all look so cool shaking in your houses. Satnam. Earlier this morning in the first session, we were contemplating these ideas of with each of these qualities, these immeasurable qualities or boundless attitudes, that each has an enemy. So, for instance, if I have, what is the enemy of boundless love? Well, at the very obvious level, it's ill will towards somebody else. But then there's the non-obvious enemies, and those are called the near enemies. The obvious ones are called the far enemies. Make sense? In the West, we don't like this word enemy so much, but I think it's a good word, you know. Just like we don't like some of the words that are coming up, like Black Lives Matter in our society right now. And I think it's a brilliant word, honestly. And I don't mean to, create any sort of feeling of divisiveness. If you feel like divisiveness, I think that's good news, because that gives us an opportunity to feel it and then to investigate it and like why, And then you can turn it into happiness. But if we feel divisiveness and then we either indulge it or like push it away, or we feel like that if there's injustice, we must feel, a particular way. If we naturally feel angry, we should feel angry. We can't stuff it away, but that doesn't mean that we're not utilizing that anger to actually transform ourselves and hopefully our world positively. And so when I was talking to a friend of mine, another white friend of mine, just the other day, and we both said, the first time we heard the phrase Black Lives Matter, and I didn't at all intend to talk about this tonight, but here we are. The first time we heard it, we were both like, why? That was our first I don't know about that. That was my genuine first response. But that was 5-6 years ago, whenever that movement started. And over time, I've grown very fond of the phrase. Of course, very fond of the movement, but very fond of the phrase, because it is creating a triggering, a penetrating effect, And I know not everyone agrees with this. That's okay. We should be able to disagree. If we got love, we can disagree. And so, but when that's the glory of taking these dispositions, because anytime that I'm in a very difficult situation or I'm triggered in some way, then that gives me an opportunity to practice in a way I wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity, and to experience deeper levels of love in my life. And so that's the alternative to that is not a great one. It means that whenever I'm feeling great discomfort or pain, say someone publicly defames me, or somebody talks badly about you to others, and especially somebody you trust or you trusted, and someone you've been very kind to, and they repay you with slander or something of that regard. The alternative is then you need vengeance. And then if I'm going to respond with vengeance, I'm the one suffering. Nobody wants to feel vengeance. We think we want to feel vengeance, but it's a poison. And so without compassion, the vengeance will creep up. With compassion, we can understand. Understand through compassion, or you will misunderstand these times. And so the glory of the path is that when something that is difficult like that occurs, it gives me a wonderful opportunity. And I begin to not only think, at first it's a thought, it's a philosophy, to experience my enemy, so to speak, or my adversary as a kind friend, because I've been given such a wonderful opportunity to practice the Dharma and for me to increase bliss. And so, at first it's a philosophy, but over time it starts to become a reality, something that you practiced. At first we're clumsy with it. It doesn't feel quite natural, but we do good practice, good yoga, good meditation, and then we start to get a little better at it. And when we start to get a little better at it, then what happens? We start to actually experience the benefits for ourselves, not just philosophically, but experientially. When we start to experience the benefits for ourselves, then all of a sudden what happens? Our happiness will start to swell. We'll start to experience joy. We'll fall deeper and deeper in love. And so, you know what I'm saying? That's why this all, as I mentioned this morning, it's a love movement. The force of evolution is a love movement. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. I'm very happy to be alive at this time right now. You ever listen to Dr. King's final speech that he gave the night before he was assassinated in Memphis? It's very powerful. Most people have listened to the last 2 minutes because they've heard I've been to the mountaintop, powerful moment. But to experience that powerful moment, start at the beginning and listen to the whole thing. And he talks because he was sick that night, and he wasn't going to come. And he asked his best friend, Ralph Abernathy, to do the talk. And then they arrived to the venue because they were there helping, supporting the what do you call them? The union strike of what? Yeah, the sanitation workers. They were striking in Memphis. They were there to support that. But he had a cold or a flu, Dr. King, and he wasn't going to come. When his group showed up, they saw how many people there. They went back to get him. You got to at least make an appearance. And so Ralph Abernathy introduced him for about a half hour. And then Dr. King gets up to speak. And he starts off by saying, he calls Ralph, and remember, this is the night before, this is final night alive. Calls, just says, Ralph Abernathy is the best friend I have in this world. What a sweet thing to say. And he said, and he was introduced to him, and it's wonderful to hear your best friend speak of you in that way. That's called sympathetic joy. When you're experiencing happiness, that's the third bound. That's at a very important but basic level, the third boundless attitude. The third attitude, sympathetic joy. I get happy by other people's happiness. We feel that organically with our children and with our spouse or with our family. But when you can feel that with neutrals or enemies, that's another story altogether. I think that's why, sometimes I remember hearing Amma, or somebody wanted to, the great Amachi, one of her devotees wanted to, what do you, I don't know if this is a true story, this is what I heard, but I just want to see the reality like you see it. And then for a moment, somehow they were able to, and it was just, get me back, because their nervous system would not be equipped to handle that type of boundless compassion. To be able to experience the suffering of the world and to be able to metabolize it and turn it into something healthy, we need to take our time with this. You see what I'm saying? So that takes a tremendous type of magnetism in order to truly embrace the suffering of the world and turn it into medicine within oneself and for others. So Ralph Abernathy introduced him, and Dr. King begins to speak. And of course, he was sick; he wasn't going to talk. But now the Holy Spirit takes over. It's clear as day, and he goes into this beautiful sequence where he talks about how if he had the opportunity, if he were able to talk with God, and God said, you know, you can go to any time in history, and live at that time. He said, if God said that to me, I would fly over the pyramids of Egypt, and I would see the Israelites, you know, crossing the Red Sea. And he may even say he went through. I don't remember everything. It's beautiful. You just have to listen. He said, but I wouldn't stop there. And then he would, you know, fly over and see into, you know, Bethlehem and Jerusalem and see, you know, his master. But he wouldn't stop there. And then he said before that, he would go to the Acropolis, the Parthenon, and see Socrates discussing, you know, the great, you know, truths of reality. But I wouldn't stop there. And he keeps going, he keeps going. And then he said, but if I could say to God, if I could just spend a few days in the latter part of the 20th century, God, I would like to live then. Talking about the time he was living. And that's how I feel about this moment. What other time would we want to be alive? You see, there's only this moment. Let's be right here. But if we contextualize what's happening in our lives as somehow innately negative when it's problematic or difficult, we'll lose the grace of it, the bliss of it. But when we can genuinely begin to experience the goodness of life, even in the most difficult and horrendous times, this is a possibility for us. This is realistic. That's why we have to turn towards the suffering, not away from it, trying to grasp onto the ever-fleeting pleasures that never stick around. And to the extent that I'm gripping towards trying to hold on to the pleasure that's ephemeral by nature, to that extent I'm emotionally grabbing on in that way. To that extent I will be emotionally gripped on by pain and suffering when it arises. But to the extent I can start to loosen my grip towards my attraction towards pleasantness and my unattraction towards unpleasantness, and begin to live a life that is predominantly centered around the cultivation of boundless love, boundless compassion, and boundless joy, then I will start to experience the grace of life. And then I won't have to look for a purpose. You won't be able to see where it's not. It's everything about you, every moment of our lives, every inch of our skin, every cell of our body. That's Ang Sang Wahe Guru. That undescription, that beyond comprehension is what vibrates in every cell of my body, in every cell of your body. Let us have that experience. So we're going to be using this gorgeous new music that was recorded at the Life Force Academy immersion a couple weeks ago. And we're going to be using it to the breath of 10. And so here's how this is going to work. You're going to be moving your body like this. Like you're going to bring the hands together but they don't. They stop. So like that. And then with the rhythm, you're going to inhale in 5 strokes through your nose. I got that right? And you're going to exhale in 5 strokes through your puckered mouth. And that's how it'll work, like this. And like. And keep going like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going. When you exhale, the lips are puckered like a baseball coming out of a batting cage. Like, it's powerful. Building your magnetism. It puts all the chakras in rhythm. Like, like you're some great, like, mystical martial artist working with the subtle life force prana, chi, building the magnetic strength. It has a force. Keep going. Listening to the breath, merging into the rhythm. You'll hit a threshold where it will become difficult. At that time, deepen the force of the breath strokes. You'll move through that threshold. You'll tap a deeper reservoir of inner vitality. Third eye gaze, eyes closed. Find the rhythm, friends. Find the pocket with the soul, with the heart. What is the energy of your life? What is it that you're wishing to experience? Bring that to it. In complete, utter contentment and genuine wisdom will be with you, within you, wherever you are. Deeply listening. The purity of bathing in sacred waters will cleanse you. Deeply listening. Same honor comes as if you had continually studied and studied, deeply listening. You become in the energy of one-pointedness, flowing with the continuous flow of the Divine Spirit in meditative delight. Nanak, those who surrender themselves in love continuously blossom and bloom, deeply listening. Sorrows and errors depart. Stay with it, friends. Get the whole shoulders and arms, your whole lymph. Meditate into the third eye. It's so beautiful, keep going. feeling the subtlety of the energy of the magnetic field. Keep going. The mind meditator. One minute. Inhale. Press the hands on the face and press.
Recognize the ocean of virtues within
Exhale. Inhale deep. Hands on your
Deeply
chest,
listening.
heart center, press.
you.
Root
Become
lock,
in
lift.
tune with spirit. Perfectly balanced in
Exhale.
your own humanity.
Inhale,
and
press the
nobility.
hands into your navel point, fingers into the navel.
Deeply
Lift the
listening.
root lock, press.
Even blind, you will find your way.
Exhale,
Deeply listening,
meditate.
understand the unfathomable. Nanak, those who surrender themselves in love continually blossom and bloom. Deeply listening, all sorrows or errors depart.
And come relax onto your backs. And deeply relax.
move your fingers and toes. Rotate your wrists and ankles. And rub the palms and make some heat. And rub the soles of the feet and make some heat. And then hug the knees to the chest and rock and roll. And come on up. This is the mantra we'll be using. Rama Dasa Sase Sohung. It's vibrating the elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space, that which makes up the mind and the body and all the elements of the creation. It's a healing mantra. It's used for healing ourselves, for helping to heal others. We're going to be using it as our meditative vibration, our mantra, our chanting. And I'm going to share with you two different options for what you can do in this meditation. It's very beautiful. We're going to be meditating and setting our intention, bringing back into our mind and awareness the four boundless attitudes. From Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche. We call these four qualities boundless for four reasons. First, their benefits are boundless. Second, the number of beings to whom we should direct them is boundless. For sentient beings are as numerous as the sky is vast. Third, the qualities of enlightenment, which is the result obtained from meditating on them, are boundless. Fourth, the attitude we have when cultivating these four is boundless. Just as seed sown in a field that is properly tilled, watered, manured, and exposed to the sun will naturally produce a good crop. If you meditate sincerely and deeply on these four boundless qualities, the precious bodhicitta will certainly take birth in your being. And once you have trained your mind and experienced bodhicitta, whatever you do directly or indirectly will naturally help others. So always keep in mind that the best way to benefit others is to meditate on the four boundless qualities. Boundless love, the wish that all others may have happiness and the cause of happiness. Boundless compassion, karuna, the wish that all beings will be freed of suffering. And the cause of that suffering. We can think of like our children or our mothers, and if we have even the thought of them suffering, an intense feeling of compassion will arise. Boundless joy, the wish that we have some happiness and that others have some happiness, May that ever grow and increase. In boundless impartiality, the realization that all beings are equally deserving of love, compassion, and joy, and not more or less so because of the relationship you may have with them in the narrow perspective of the present. First option is you take the white hole mudra, where the thumb tips are touching and the index tips are touching, and the other 3 fingers are curled in like guardians. Your chest comes out and your shoulders are back. And you hold it in with your index tips at the height of the ajna, third eye. And it's like you're chanting through the mudra. It's not singing, it's not talking, it's vibrating. Rama, like that. And go ahead and start chanting. Your other option, left hand on your navel, right hand like this, like you're giving a blessing. And when you'll start to chant the mantra, the hand will come forward like Rama, Dasa, Sasi, So. And when you finish the mantra, you'll get to the bottom, and then it comes back up. Inhale and chant along. Dasa, Sa. Listen deeply to the sound. Think of those you love. And chant for them. Think of your own life and pain and suffering. And direct the boundless love and compassion to your own being, your own body and mind. And chant. Say hung, draw your navel in, vibrate the nod. third eye. Keep your chest lifted, your shoulder blades release. And then those holding the white hole mudra, inhale deeply. Everyone else keep chanting. And then breath of fire. 45 seconds, keep going. Purify. Inhale deeply. Hold the posture. Squeeze the spine from the base to the top. Gaze into the third eye. Hold the position, exhale. Inhale. Suspend. Gaze the third eye and squeeze each vertebra of the spine. Hold the position and exhale. And last time, inhale. Suspend and squeeze. Third eye. And relax. And stillness. Shunya. Give a wish from a genuine heart, a prayer, however it flows out of you. those who are suffering without enough food to eat, money to get by. Those who are suffering from illness and their families, and those who have lost loved ones, those who have journeyed from this life into the next world. Those who are spiritually starving. Just a loving wish. Warmth of our hearts. Meditate in the moment. The purples. Exhale. all beings be happy. May we be filled with compassion. May all beings be freed of suffering. May we experience boundless joy. And may the happiness of all beings ever increase. And may our minds and hearts be so expansive that our love, our sweetness, our kindness has no boundary. May we be good stewards of the times, of love, of truth, of justice. And when we stand in truth for justice, may we do so with tremendous love and compassion. May our families be healthy. May we live good long lives so we can experience the goodness of the Dharma, the goodness, the sweetness of a human life. And may our wishes for ourselves extend to others. Sat Nam. Well, there's still 6 minutes left in the song. I don't really feel like turning it off. Sat Nam, my friends. What a beautiful evening. So fun seeing everybody. I see these beautiful kids and beautiful people. So beautiful. So I'll in a minute I want to go over to the Zoom room and check in and say hi to everybody, but I do want to make sure everybody knows 2 things actually. We have our 40-day challenge that begins on Wednesday. I talked about it a good bit this morning as well, but you can learn all about it. But basically we're going to be doing this type of work. The meditation we did this morning is the daily meditation that starts Wednesday. Really, if you just join the live broadcast on Wednesday morning, you'll have done the day 1 of the challenge, and you'll know how to do the rest of the days. But you can also just go into the 40-day challenge page in the Life Force Academy, and there's a video where I explain how it all works. There's another video that explains how to do the meditation, and what else. And then it's going to be a beautiful journey. And if you're not yet a member of the Life Force Academy, you can join on the page here. We would love to have you a part of it. And yeah, so that's what it is. And also, every summer solstice and winter solstice, we always put all our courses on sale, and that's happening right now as well. They're different than the Life Force Academy. They're really like a deep dive into a specific body of teachings, versus the Academy, we're going to be doing live streams every Monday, Wednesday morning, Thursday evening. Simrit, have you heard this is Simrit. This was recorded at our Academy immersion just 2 weeks ago, was it? I'm so happy that we have this. And the other music you heard earlier as well. I just play it in my house and just let it roll. So anyhow, she teaches every Tuesday afternoon in the Academy. So it's a beautiful thing. You can learn all about it. And thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of this. Thank you to our amazing, wonderful crew, to Charlotte and Leah for being here this evening and helping, and to Aki. You got a camera on you, man? And to making this production so wonderful and inspiring to practice to. And to Jen, who's next door on customer service, and Lucy and Joshua is up in Oregon helping out. And so it takes a lot of work to make these happen, and a lot of people's creativity and a lot of people's energy. And so I want to give thanks for everyone. And so would love to chat for a little while with all of you over in the Zoom room. And consider jumping into the 40-day challenge. Let's continue this work through this very powerful time on the planet. Lots of love, everybody. Love you very much. Sat Nam. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jai Dave, and this time of year, every single year, summer solstice time is a really important time for us. We always put all of our courses on sale, and we're doing the same this year. And it's a beautiful time, and the reason why we do this in part is it's really an ideal time to go deeper into the teachings, deeper into the practices, how we tune our minds, how we create better and greater vitality in our bodies, more vitality in our mind. The teachings are so important, equally as important as the meditation and yoga practice itself. And when we take a deeper dive into the teachings, it gives us much greater context into the art and science of the practices and allows us to really extract and get more out of the practices that we do. In the Life Force Academy, we have so much that we do, and in our weekly classes, they're powerful and transporting, but it's the courses that really give you a deep dive into the sciences and into the arts that make everything come alive. And so I just want to tell you here's some of the courses that we have and a little bit about them. And right now for the summer solstice sale, we're putting all our courses on sale. So it's a great time to get one or a couple so you have to maybe study in the next coming months. And all these courses are experientially based. It's not just like intellectual study, but it's study and then it's a practice, and it's a study and then it's metabolized via the meditation practices and the yogic practices. All our courses are experiential. They're not just philosophical. And so to us, that's really, really important, such as the Dharmic Warrior course is arousing the deeper heart of compassion. The Radiant Body course is a really deep dive into the mystical aspects of Kundalini Yoga and Ayurveda, the yogic medicine. Joy of the Infinite is a course really on death and deathlessness, but really what that course is moving beyond chronic fear and worry. Joy of the Infinite, one of my favorites. The Sweetest Love 2.0, that is the yogic course on love relationships, marriage, and that one's taught by myself and my wife Simrit, both of us together. Simrit's course is incredible. The Supreme Sound on using your voice as your greatest medicine and power. The most powerful force on the planet is at the tip of your tongue. That's the Supreme Sound course. Clear and Confident is a woman's course taught by Simrit. Beautiful course, the complete course of Ayurveda, learning on how to use lifestyle, diet, herbs from the yogic context to set your life up for good vitality, good happiness, clarity of the mind, calmness of the mind. The Wheel of Time with myself and Robert Thurman. So many great courses here, Unlocking the Life Force and Kundalini Yoga, bright and beautiful introduction to Kundalini Yoga, Dharmic Business School for you entrepreneurs out there that want to take these principles to create great magnetism of your business, so that business is a great vehicle to help uplift and serve others. And so I'm probably missing one somewhere, but there's a lot of wonderful courses, and I want to invite you to jump into one of them. And again, they're all on sale right now. You can click through here or see them all on the page, and let us know if you have any questions. We have a great support team that's happy to help you, and enjoy. Thanks, everybody.
사랑의 상계 자들을 자꾸를 바르니 자들을 자꾸를 보게 돼 소용없어 새로부터 새로부 주게 돼 두꺼운 베르나시 내 아lam 서로베 사다양 기상기 마방강 비부다 자들을 자꾸를 바르니 자들을 자꾸를 보게 돼 소용없어 새로부터 새로부 주게 돼 두꺼운 베르나시 내 아lam 서로베 사다양 기상기 마방강 비부다
you're wired somehow. You have a certain way of existing that is absolutely natural and skillful for you. You're talented in that way. It's how your heart expresses itself. It's how you get inside of love, and how love expresses itself uniquely through you.
If you have a mind, you have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.